Yeah, I think even at the low health total, going for CS instead of Ice Barrier is very, very smart.
Yep. I like
just because if you can get one big spell denied, that is going to save you probably a lot more life in the long run as well.
So counterspell gets broken by the Soul Shear, and I do believe the other one is Spellbender, right? He doubled up on.
Yeah. I didn't think it would work that way because he picked Spellbender first, obviously. So it would like Spellbender and then counterspell.
No, I think that always works with like counterspell.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay.
Takže ahojte, momentálne prebieha proste turnajov,
reasonable.
It's damage, yeah. Damage is kind of what he's in the business of right now. It's about his only way to get a win condition.
$200.
Ah! Really close to what it studies about playing.
It's worthwhile, right? I actually do agree with this because he's double timing it, right? So any demon he gets that costs 3 or less is actually playable that turn. Just additional tempo, paid off really, really nicely with the Fell Guard in the end.
I think double bust is super likely to be cool. Or, sorry, enough to make the paint.
Yep.
Kde? To ten rozbuš, keď dáte do jedného, tak vám dá...
That sounds so offended.
Oboch strán.
They don't get to just do whatever I want.
I don't ping stuff. I have people to ping stuff for me now.
Where is my ping board?
And yeah, cycling through. It's a double time Body of Cthulhu again here for Tom. But it's just becoming abundantly clear that his deck synergizes less effectively with the double time. He got close with an aggressive start, as Warlock always seems to do, but not quite close enough.
Still did his best to pick this board apart. He did have the opportunity, essentially, just to remove the guess. He had one shot with the Penflinger on each of the possible illusion minions, and you knew he was going to remove one of them. But he is very much falling behind at this point. Nowhere near his Cthulhu win condition, and dramatically losing the board. And I don't remember seeing any amount of direct damage, burst damage from hand that he used to end the game right now, which is about the only thing he has working in his favour.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of it from Tom. I think his best hope for a win here is that the streamer in Kibler breaks forth, and the phrase "throwing for content" I think comes to mind here.
Yes.
As maybe with an insane Yogg, Tom could get there. Maybe a Rod of Roasting, perhaps.
He's going to trade the gems? Okay. I was on board with the Azure Drake line. That looked smooth to me. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was on board with the line that didn't potentially destroy your own minion as well in the process, but fair enough.
It was weird, right? Because even, again, like, I was thinking about going Azure Drake first and then just straight up blasting the 6/6, but then you have more of your own minions in play that the second Arcane Blast can hit. Like, there wasn't really a nice spell that you could use to, like, break the double time. It's one of those weird scenarios where it just felt like double time was kind of actively working against you for that whole turn.
School Spirits as well, even if it would be pretty reasonable here. Counterspell deals with that very easily.
Yep.
Nothing that can be done here whatsoever. And whether it's in the long term or even just the short term now, Kibler's just pulling drastically into the lead, doing what I didn't think he would be doing, which is getting the win over all these Warlocks with his Mage. I think he's only lost to a Demon Hunter now, right, from Dione. He's just been farming these Warlocks.
Doesn't actually have the board space to do anything particularly relevant with it here, it seems like. Yeah, this Kibler. Sure, I guess it's fine. Depending on what the Drake would have drawn, this is arguably more tempo this way, depending on whether he found an efficient way to spend the other man off the Azure Drake on the following turn. Can't argue with it too much.
You can't indeed. And Silverware Golem off the top. All the cards you want in the early game found in the mid game, and Kibler goes up 7-1, I believe at that point. It does knock out Tom 60229 from the running. We'll take a proper look at the standings soon. But again,
marching slowly but surely, Darren, towards the end of our first full run here in the Darkmoon Duels.
Yeah, we're getting there. That's right. We're going to be playing 3 full runs. Each run will end when either all but one player has been eliminated, obviously taking their 3 losses, or once a player goes the full distance and gets 12 wins. I didn't really consider if it's actually possible for a player to go 12 wins before we started, because as it's currently looking, I think everyone will just be eliminated before that happens. Maybe it'll be possible. But now, as we see, half the field, Warlocks with...
Momentálne je Brian Kibble prvý, dosť ako veľmi známy ako keby streamer.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how his deck has developed, because I think, you know, we saw him quite early on, just as his deck was starting to come together, and I think he's picked up a couple of buys since that point. So it's still a bit of a mystery exactly how powerful his deck is for the late game. You know, how many additional Chaos Strikes, Acrobatics, these kind of key cards he's picked up that he really will need. We saw Bag of Stuffing, for example, being used by Kibler. That would be the perfect treasure, potentially, to go along with Dion's build of the deck as well, to just keep the economy nice and high in hand. But yeah, we are down to our final 4 players now, and it is Bunny Hopper who is on the brink of defeat as the only one of those remaining players who currently has 2 losses to their name.
That's right, so we're going to have at least, 2 more rounds to go here, hopefully going a little bit quicker with, like you said, Dione having the Demon Hunter that should be winning or losing fairly quickly, you would imagine. But then again, all the players who are going to have to be really trying hard in the subsequent 2 rounds, Ali, Crips, Lissa, Zalay, and Snail, all of whom have 0 points right now, whereas we could be looking at players maybe even getting up to the 10 full wins, 100 points in terms of getting up to the top of the leaderboard and trying to catch that $20,000 prize for first place. There's a lot to play for sure.
There certainly is, yeah, and we are coming right down to it now, because really these are just straight up head-to-head matchups. Like, yes, 3 of our players do have a buffer. They only have 1 loss to their name, but I think this is a really nice format because, again, we are on a closed circuit, so these players will be queuing directly into each other, which means that as you come down to the end of each of these rounds, you do really kind of have that head-to-head clash, that eliminator feeling when it comes down to these final battles. And we are going to get to see, it looks like, Dione going up against Kibler here, and I am very, very interested in how this deck has evolved for Dione.
Me as well. We need to remember as well that I believe he had Khadgar's Scrying Orb, so all spells cost 1 less rather than just the first one you play each turn, which, I mean, already this hand can kill your opponent on, like, turn 4, if that's the case. Like, the Moog Outcast plus Twin Slice is a stupidly strong combo. I think that's a keep. I think that if that is the case, and I'm remembering correctly, that's just a double Twin Slice insta-keep.
Well, Dione disagrees, so we will wait and see, I suppose. It did appear to be Khadgar's Scrying Orb, indeed. Yeah, that's Khadgar's, right? Pretty sure.
Yeah, because Fire Shaper is a tier 1, right, so it can't be Ronin's. Interesting. I mean, at 40 health, you are definitely mandated to do a little bit more damage. You can't just be getting there with the 20 to 30 health breakpoint. But did definitely feel like it was going to be worth holding on to for that combo, because, I mean, the Moog, obviously, I agree, holding on to. It's kind of the power spike of the deck in pretty much every instance. But it does mean it's going to be a little while off before it gets those ultimate combos through.
Kibler just going to roll the dice here on where this double time Frostbolt ends up going. It's likely to not be of that great a consequence, but I guess with the spell damage, 4 is a pretty significant amount of damage to be throwing out, I suppose.
You know, I think I finally understand the Monty Hall problem. You're supposed to frostbolt your opponent's face first, so it's a 3 options instead of 2 after you frostbolt.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's exactly what the Monty Hall problem was designed to illustrate. You've understood it flawlessly.
I mean, the big kicker here, really, compared to most decks for Dion, is that he actually has Skull of Gul'dan in hand, which, whether or not you outcast it with this build of the deck, is going to give him that extra juice he needs to make Moag Enforcer, or Moag Outcast, sorry, a more consistent one-turn kill effect. So I think for the moment, his strategy of just taking it a little bit more slowly, chilling out in these early turns, not trying to go for anything overly aggressive, is likely to keep him in the game for quite a while to come.
Do you just go? I mean, that's the question. You can leave your opponent with 0 mana this turn. With it consolidated on board, but then how impressive is your following turn? You can't then get to the skull on the following turn in outcast position, which is what you would like to do.
Right. I mean, you could still go coin skull, and you would then go coin. Oh no, wait, you wouldn't go coin because it wouldn't be outcast. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
it's that eye beam that would be trolling. That's the problem.
Yeah, like the upside specifically with this hand of Moag Outcast is potentially so high that I'm in favor of just holding on to it for something closer to an OTK.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Not the smoothest looking hand for Kibler. He needs to start converting some of these cards into spells in his hand, you know? Like, Babbling Book has upside, Violet Spellwing has upside, but he needs to actually get them played and converted into spells that he can actually gain tempo with. Yeah,
the alternative for me was maybe just play Ring Toss, just because obviously you still get 2 secrets off of it with double time. But I think I like your idea a little bit better. Get some kind of a power spike happening with your discovered spells instead. Wow. He is really trying to stop any damage coming through at all.
Which I think is smart, right? Like, he knows the style of deck that that Dinh is playing. He knows what is up, and at least from what we've seen, he hasn't seen the deck in quite some time, and the last time he played against it, Dinh was kind of gassed out and top decking for most of the game, right? So, you know, Kibler has not necessarily any reason to suspect that there's just a whole bunch of card draw going on, which we can see there is. So he might just feel like if he just, you know, deals with the first 10 or 12 cards that Dinh plays, then that might just be all he needs to do. But we can see this Skull of Gul'dan is going to make a mess of that strategy pretty quickly.
Man, I'm still hung up on the fact that he threw a double twin slice. Like, he has Fire Shaper as well. Like, it was actually just so much damage. It was completely illegal.
I know. Each twin slice was just like 14 damage straight up.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see it more than anything else. I mean, now we're getting to the point where maybe he can get himself Moag Artifice, Moag Outcast plus the Skull of Gul'dan, but it's getting a little bit tougher for sure.
Anyway, pushes some more damage, Fire Shaper doing some work, and now next turn should be the pop-up turn, I imagine, for Dinh.
It's again, like you said, a clunky old hand here for Kibler. With too many minions, not enough spells. That's the power of his deck, is obviously double timing the spells.
seeing the options. I'm sure Kibler is looking for defensive tools wherever possible. His hand doesn't really need value. His hand doesn't really need threats. He needs ways to stave off the aggression from the opponent. And these 4 secrets might just be able to do that somewhat. Okay,
yeah, at the very least you can expect no damage to be going face here at all.
Yes.
He's going for that hit. That doesn't matter if that gets counterspelled because he gets coin
Exactly.
into skull. The first one outcast. I believe the second one doesn't reduce because it's just cast from the ether and doesn't get you the full mana reduction.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. It does seem to be the case with most of these situations. Yeah, these discounts are just from the natural scrying orb discount.
Oh, that wasn't as good as you kind of would expect it to be there. Like, the fact that the second skull doesn't discount your cards meant that he was actually quite unlikely to get much more benefit out of the Moarg outcast. Like, you can obviously just argue that he wanted to get the ability to just draw a whole bunch of cards and then combo afterwards, but
yes,
it's working pretty horribly for him here, as obviously Kibler now has his own Moarg outcast, which is pretty disgusting at this point.
Yeah, but again, good with that. Like, obviously minions are
Right,
just
yeah.
great when you get additional minions, but like this brain freeze, for example, like this could go wrong in a wide variety of ways if he plays it out this turn.
Is that going to cost 3 times with both Double Time and the Moarg, or 4?
I think so, yeah.
I'd guess 3.
I think 3. I will confess I have not seen this interaction though. I think this is just something that you have to accept when playing duels, right? It's like in constructed, if you've played for years, you feel like you should know every interaction. If something happens that you didn't know about, that's your bad. In duels, I don't think that's the case. You're probably going to see some nonsense you didn't know about at least once per run.
Exactly, like some nonsense like Counterspell and Spellbender. Like, how would a caster supposed to be able to know about that? Okay, well, the combo keeps coming in. Man, all these double jumps in his deck are kind of insane.
Yup.
Whoa.
These
Is this
I-beams
lethal?
now? These
Whoa.
I-beams just absolutely smashing the damage here. Okay, I was going to say, if that's another I-beam coming out of his deck. Okay.
I feel like that's just
Okay.
lethal, right? Unless it's Ice Barrier, which
Yeah.
it can't be. What? This deck is insane!
It's a just average Demon Hunter game, Derek. I don't know what you're talking about.
That was so sick. I mean, that's what the Demon Hunter decks I've been playing have been missing. It's that consistent cycle. And double jump just looked ludicrous in that capacity.
Yeah, I will confess, I've never actually had double jump as my particular engine. I was messaging Derek a couple of days ago saying that like if there's one thing I've learned about duels, it's that aggro Demon Hunter is OP. It's by far my most successful like archetype in terms of strategy. And you do just kind of have to find like that one engine, like be it Skull of Gul'dan, be it like 2 or 3 Chaos Strikes, like whatever it ends up being, just something to be able to keep that gas going. But yeah, the double jump with like 15 I-beams in your deck and then lifesteal dealing damage, that was a really, really cute interaction there at the end of the game. And once again, Dione just absolutely running away with it, showing that Demon Hunter still has the legs to be able to get the job done. So, doing what they've been doing basically every round, just grinding out a Cthulhu Warlock mirror all the way down to the wire.
Down the Doomguard, a whole bunch of damage early on, but I mean, I think we can quite clearly see it's not going to be enough to close out the game. It never is. It feels close sometimes, but there's always a trick up the sleeve of the Warlock.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel based on my experience with Warlock, like Doomguard is a card that ends up in your deck frustratingly often because it lines up with all the good cards that you do want, right? It's in the Silverware Golem bucket, it's in the Boneware Bag bucket, the ones that you really, really want to pick, but especially because you tend to be playing Cthulhu in Warlock, you don't really want that anti-synergy going on, right? Where you have the ability to discard random cards from your hand. That's not really something that you're too interested in, but because of the strength of the other cards that it ends up in buckets with, it's a card that you do quite often end up with at least one copy of in your deck.
Well, again, keeping up the aggression here, which, I mean, like I said, it doesn't get there most of the time as Warlock, given the power of kill mocks, but it's very powerful forcing them to do it. That's the real benefit that you get. It's not killing your opponent, it's getting kill mocks out so that you can then kill it on the other side with your removal effects, like more of Cthulhu here. And then be in a much stronger position when the late game comes, because if they don't have access to kill mocks, your Cthulhu becomes significantly more likely to actually win the game. Especially as Ademian for Team Solari here does actually have to play nice and aggressively, because again, Bunny Hopper has that ultimate win condition. As soon as he gets Cthulhu, he has the battle totem for a double battle cry effect on it, and he will win the game.
Way he's hit the 4, hasn't he? Yeah, he has. You can see them highlighted in hand. He missed Silverware Golem and the kill mocks there, meaning he has to discard an actual card that turn. That is got to be very, very frustrating for Bunny.
That's a good one too. You really don't want to be losing that way at all possible.
It's a pretty good opportunity for another tempo push here. He wants it. He does have the sociologist.
Oh, wait, I just realized he didn't discard the coin. I was going to say that Cascading Disaster you want to hold on to. He's holding on to the Killmox plus Gnomish Army Knife combo. He's giving his Killmox charge to be able to go for a full OTK on one turn.
Yep, as long as he can get it big enough, then that is certainly going to be an option. Out of those 4 cards,
charge?
I think. Yeah. Yeah.
He just has lethal next turn. He just needs to discard one more card and then not die. But that's kind of a tall order here, actually.
Well, it depends how big the Killmox is as well. Have you seen it recently? I'm not actually sure.
It's 1919.
Is it really? Okay, damn.
So now 2121. Oh, that's so huge.
Keeping the board nice and clear, making sure everything is biting the dust.
Oh,
and so, if no taunt now for Odemian, he is going to find himself in trouble. But he does have options. He can prevent this.
Yeah.
The question is, has he seen Gnomish Army Knife over the course? A good enough player to be tracking the coin is still in hand. He certainly will have seen the Killmox by now and know that that's in hand. So it really comes down to whether he's seen Gnomish in a previous game before, or whether he can just put that together out of the blue and consider that as an 11 mana combo that you could have available, which is within the realm of possibilities as well.
I mean, choosing to discard Cascading Disaster instead of the coin is so weird at this point in the game. You would just never do that, because there's actually a pretty premium card to clear off a big Killmox or a Doomguard or whatever it may be at this point in the game. Whereas coin is doing nothing at this point, really.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. Technically alive.
Oh my god. So he just has to play one Jeklik every turn and he'll survive. He has in hand everything he needs to survive this forever.
Well, the problem is, but again, he can't just play to survive forever, because this isn't Bunny's only like unavoidable win condition, right? Like he has Cthulhu to fall back on at the right at the end of the game if it gets to that point.
I mean, if we want to get technical with it, then he can do that as well, because he has hero power to discard a Jet Click, play a Jet Click, and then play a Cthulhu card. And he can just keep doing that every turn. And kind of get there. Eventually he'll miss on the Jet Clicks and start having to discard them from his, or just play them out without copying them.
But I guess the other thing you need to pay attention to is that he can't really ever let Bunny win board, because then the taunts don't block anything, because Bunny just has the board. Like this scenario you're looking at right now, like he needs to answer the board and play a taunt at the end of it all as well.
Does he have lethal here though? That destroys 3 minions.
I think the Doom Guard's buffed, right? I think we saw
it's 7, right? Because he has
7.
unlocked potential.
Yes.
So he has to not discard.
Exactly, yeah. Yup.
Oh! What? Wait, could he have copied it first? Was that the way to get guaranteed lethal? Because that's the lowest cost demon in his hand.
Oh, it is, yeah. Jetclicks isn't a demon, is it? So yeah, he could have just copied the Doom Guard first and then had guaranteed. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's just straight up miss lethal.
And it was 7 because he has unlocked potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, again, he's still alive. I don't think he appreciates how close he is to dying here. Okay, that's a good draw.
Philosophy is an absurd draw, because it now just actually allows Bunny Hopper to play one of these things. That's insane. That pretty much guarantees that if the game is not going to go to the late game, it's now going to be Bunny Hopper who's winning and not Oddelenie from this point. Yeah, plays it out. This ordering doesn't matter, as I was talking about before. The discard effect, the buff still happens even if you get it into play first, because it is an aura effect. So he just plays it out first to get the guaranteed discard on the Boneware Beg.
So he can obviously destroy it for this turn. I mean, he can just do the thing I was talking about. He can destroy it, play a Jet Click, obviously discard one of them as well, and still be alive, even if we're factoring in the stupid combo that we are expecting to see. And he may well have pieced together is there at this point.
Right.
But if he doesn't kill off any of these minions, they can both just attack in. Oh no! He's just dead. He doesn't realize the combo is there. We were giving him too much credit. I mean, it's incredibly difficult to spot.
He doesn't know, Derek! He lacks critical information!
Oh man! Bunny, do it. Please. Give me what I need.
Oh, he is doing it without a moment's hesitation. Innkeeper coming in with the handy tooltips. When a minion has stealth, it cannot taunt, but it absolutely can go face for 52.
Absolutely
Insane.
disgusting. I mean, well played to Bunny Hopper there for keeping that combo alive, even discarding some of the most crucial cards in the deck to keep it alive at that expense. But it's got to be said for Oddelenie there. Again, unless I'm missing something obvious there, it did feel like there was a guaranteed lethal opportunity he could have gone for. Maybe some of his passives were messing that up. I'm trying to think through what in my head those could have been. But honestly, I'm coming up blank with any way that he didn't just miss a lethal there at the end.
Yeah, I think you saw him like mouse over it at one point as well, like almost as if he recognized the mistake. But it was an insane game in the end, so I'm kind of in a weird way glad that we got to see the finish that we did, because it's a much cooler lethal coming out the other way from Bunny Hopper. Of the round is Players killing their opponents in very spectacular ways. And honestly, that's kind of a theme of duels in general. You do find that many of the most efficient decks have ways to do enormous amounts of burst damage like this. Dione piecing things together through the lifesteal, the fire shaping, and those twin slices, and of course the outcast hero power as well, doing enormous amounts of damage going through to Brian Kibler. And I believe that is Kibler's only 2 losses now to Dione.
Indeed. Picking up there, I believe, on the 9th option there, in terms of the treasure that he was going for, summon a random 3-drop and then upgrade it and shuffle it into your deck in coin pouch. Which is not, I think, really, to be honest, what Dione was looking for, because what he wants to be doing, what I was just about to say, the real benefit of his deck, what he has kept so high, is the amount of card draw. Those double jumps, the Chaos Strike, Skull of Gul'dan, all these gorgeous effects that allow him to keep the damage flowing. Coin pouch is one of the rare effects in Hearthstone that shuffles something in, but then doesn't immediately draw you a card when you draw it. So while it can be powerful to fight for tempo, it could also slow him down quite a lot. So really, I think the name of the game here for Dione is just making sure that he can keep those combos alive and push for lethal with some epic Moarg Outcast combos.
Yeah, I think certainly these last few decks that we have remaining are going to lead to some pretty epic games when they clash against each other, because they all have the ability really to do some pretty insane things. But that is very much the norm. It's kind of what Duels is about. If you're going to survive for this long, when you're going to get into the 8-win, 9-win, 10-win territory, you best believe your deck needs to be doing something that's pretty disgusting in the vast majority of games, or you're just absolutely not going to keep up with the competition. I think we are seeing that kind of power level from all the decks that we have now remaining. I think the last remaining imposter was Tom in that scenario. His deck didn't really feel like it was hanging with the big boys in terms of the power level of what he was doing, and I think we are absolutely now down to some pretty powerful looking builds from everyone else.
Yeah, we are. There's a couple of other players that I hope we get to see more of next round. I thought Dog was doing something pretty interesting with his kind of combo build of Demon Hunter. Obviously, as we saw, Firebat with his weapon/turtle rogue, I thought was pretty cool. But for now, the name of the game, as you said, is just quite clearly the top dogs here, right up at the top. And it is once again Kibler. His kryptonite this run through has been Dione, and it might be the hat trick now available if Dione can keep things rolling.
And that is a decent looking hand from Dione, honestly, where he does have some decent resources to be putting up, does have acrobatics, and a bit of additional card draw there. And obviously, anytime you have Twin Slice in hand, you've got to be feeling pretty good. It's such a high power level card with so many of the other options. You can now see the standings. Dione, again, thanks to those buys, now is the only player with 8 wins to his name, so still finds himself a little bit behind the field, having picked up a couple of his victories from buys, which means only 5 points for those victories as opposed to the full 10. But in terms of raw match score, he does have the best record overall right now.
Great draw there, though, for Kibler, though. Things were looking a bit rough as he gave us just a obligatory yep, as he is just being slaughtered with instant loads of damage right at the start.
Well,
but the ring toss is a great way to follow up. The real question is just, what do you illusionify here? Because I guess the Mozaki, if that survives, is potentially like a lot of damage. But
yes.
Taunt is so valuable.
Taunt is valuable, yeah, but I don't think a 4 health Taunt is really going to be a game changer, especially when your opponent already has a 3 damage weapon in play, right? Like, it feels pretty likely that's just a thing they can tidy up quite nicely. I think, if anything, putting the illusion on the booty bay has a good chance of just being completely free, because the weapon charge might just have to swing into it anyway if it dodges the fire shaping. So I do like that decision overall, I think. See where these fire shaping hits go. Okay.
Oh, it's just so strong. Everything he's doing, like this fire shaper as well, is so brutal.
Yep. Yep. There we go.
He's just gonna die next turn. Like, this acrobatics is gonna draw him 50 cards.
It sure is.
Okay, he hit the good one.
He did, yep. There is a good chance that Rigged Fair Game does not activate for the entire game, so I would recommend not picking that one. Okay, he did end up with it off the double cast, but it's fine.
Oh! That's so illegal. So you probably go with a draw turn this turn, and then use your second charge next turn with Il'gynoth to try and close it out.
There's 50 secrets in play, right? You can't just commit the one card you need to work into 50 secrets, right? You need to go, like, true, I like this. He needs to find a different spell to test for the counter spell.
Okay.
Kibler, actually, fairly happy with the way this is going now that he's got to counterspell the Chaos Strike. Little does he know that there is a vastly superior spell in hand that Dione held back for this very scenario. Wow! Actually gets the Rigged Fair Game as well. It's a big deal.
He does, but I actually really like this decision from Dione because he could very easily have just swung with the weapon there and then gone with the draw next turn, deal a whole bunch more damage. But he's giving himself the option to attack with all the damage buffs he's inevitably going to get next turn and attack with the massive Il'gynoth turn while he has the lifesteal weapon intact, which I think is very, very clever forward planning.
Another Ice Barrier is a very, very big deal. Which remains to be seen. Honestly, what this Acrobatics hits is probably going to be the big kicker in this, because Kibler has found enough defensive options that he's going to be able to, you know, survive probably one roll of Acrobatics into a few damage cards, right? But it's just the question of if it is like specifically Twin Slice that comes alongside with the lifesteal double damage coming through. And if it's more Chaos Strikes and things that actually recycle and pick up more damage alongside, then maybe Dione can still get there. But Kibler is, you know, not that shy of setting up a counter race scenario for himself here as well.
It's a good point. It's really just about what comes off here, because for Dione, that is a rough card to find. You really don't want to overwrite your Eldraki Warblades here, but you need those 2 extra cards. Go Il'gynoth? Just get it down while he can?
That's kind of what I was thinking, yeah, but it's just such a weak play in terms of...
Yeah.
It just gets eaten up on board. You're not really pushing that much damage through. There's a very good chance that Kibler just blows past it and pushes a bunch of damage to your face, and then, like, what's your follow-up to that, right? Like, it just doesn't really seem like you get there. I feel like you have to activate the Acrobatics.
Feels beyond awful, but I think it's just the way you've got to go about it. He gets another Acrobatics here.
Okay. Philosophy coming up. No, I believe you just saw the second trigger go off for the first Acrobatics. The card that you picked up and played was the Philosophy that duplicated.
Yeah, it gets a bit confusing with the delay on the hand versus the board.
Yes.
But a big deal here as well to just get some damage on the board, get some minion presence on the board as well. But the fluidity of the deck, which is what I've been talking about so consistently, is really just falling by the wayside here. The card draw is gone, the spell reduction gone. It's just these minions that at the moment are not coming close to getting the job done.
Again, just trying to decide which of these spells is the best to duplicate in this scenario. Which, again, like, you know, you can argue you don't necessarily want to dupe the secret because it kind of reveals information to your opponent. That does not matter at this point whatsoever. Like, the secret that you play, like, if it's not Ice Barrier, Dione just does not care what it is whatsoever at this point in the game. So I think the only argument there is, like, whether you needed to double up on Devolving Missiles there to really find an effective clear, and I think the answer to that is yes. So it's a pretty good decision here from Kibler to lead with the missiles.
Stops any and all damage, and it means, I mean, again, another Ice Barrier here. What is this? The third one he's got already so far is just so brutal for Dione to try and chunk through, even if he had the necessary cards to do it, because what is that? Shatter just does nothing. That's like the worst mage card he could get.
Yeah, this is honestly a pretty weird treasure for him to have in his deck at this point, because, you know, not only is it a weird card that you might not want to play at some point in a deck where you really want to be able to play every card in your deck, it also continues to give you weird cards that you might not want to play, right? So it does seem like a very, very bizarre choice overall to have in there. Barriers are putting so much work right now. That's 16 health that Kibler's picked up off ice barriers already, which means he could just very simply be facing down lethal here, and just another devolving missiles pick up, meaning that there's just no consideration of having to take additional damage. Well, he takes care of the Ogremoth on the other side.
Yeah, unless he's got anything more impressive he wants to double with the spells. Like, he could start with maybe Babbling Book on one thief to see if anything more impressive comes along. But it does look like you're going to end up with a double devolving here instead.
That's true. If he can find just like a straight up net positive secret to double time, then he might end up going like Blood Mage Arcane Blast to kill the minion instead, but you don't want to double time the Blood Mage Arcane Blast, right? So I think unless you find a different spell to play first, you end up going Devolving Missiles.
Yeah, as long as you don't panic and rope, I don't think anything can go that wrong. Yeah.
He did kind of panic and rope. The Mana Worm should have attacked first. On average, you miss damage by attacking afterwards, I think. Like 1 damage being gained versus attacking for 0 if the duped Arcane Blast shoots your Mana Worm. I don't know. I guess.
Double shatter, one after the other. Oh my lord.
No.
I mean, tremendous BM, Hearthstone. You're a hilarious game, but maybe not so for Dione here.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like, it's hard to even express the magnitude of how bad that is. It's not just that they're bad cards, it's that they're unplayable cards. Literally unplayable. In a situation where Dione's whole deck revolves around those outcast positions, the extreme left and the extreme right of his hand, and being able to play cards from those positions at all times. So having unplayable cards in your hand at that point just makes it so much more difficult. But I go back to the point, like, you can kind of predict that this thing might happen when you choose to put this treasure in your deck, right? Admittedly, not to the extent of double shatter, but, you know. It's about as bad as it gets.
More or less, yeah. It's a turn here as well, which is kind of weird for Kibler, because double grand finale is a nice way to try and like close out the game, somewhat appropriately, I suppose. But it's leaving something on the board that way, and I guess it's just not really necessary to go about it that way. You can do it on the following turn. You're still going to be threatening a very, very scary board here indeed. Your opponent can't really answer with.
Okay, I mean, it's a reasonable top deck, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to be anywhere near good enough at this point.
Yeah.
Double cast that, okay.
Like, Kibler won't be feeling 100% secure because, you know, this is just as likely to be double Fireball as it is double Shatter at this point, right? So Kibler has every right to be a little bit afraid, but I think now when he sees this much mana getting floated, he has a decent idea that those cards are not useful in any way.
Yeah, time to push for lethal here. Just make sure that you have the ability to kill them on the following turn, force them to answer, make it that much more difficult for them to kill you, and I guess basically just make it so that Pyroblast off of the spell doesn't kill you at this point, and you should be just fine.
22. Let's use some insane.
He is at 22. He makes a good point about himself, does Brian Kibler. If there's one trait about Brian Kibler I admire, it's how at 22 he is right now.
Say what you will about old Brian. He is at 22.
I mean, it just didn't get there, did it? I mean, again, if those shatters had been something a little bit more impressive, if they'd have dealt burn damage or if they'd have generated resources, maybe we had a different story. But I think, honestly, the big sticking point was that he ran into the Archmage staff in general, right? Like, it just disrupted the flow of his game plan so much to be able to have to drop that card off of the acrobatics just to keep the draw going. He lost so much damage off the Eldraki Warblades, and then he just gets himself into the position where obviously he's generating a bunch of random garbage in his hands. So slightly sketchy treasure choice. Obviously, I did not see what the other two were, so it might have ended up being the best option. But still, bit of a weird choice for me. And we are back into now Bunny Hopper versus Odemian representing Solari, and once again, Derek, we are looking at this exact same scenario. There is a Killmox, there is a Gnomish Army Knife, and there is a coin. And now this time, I am 100% rooting for Odemian, for Solari, because we've seen it once now, so it's boring. We don't need to see it again. So at this point, it's just a toxic, overpowered combo. This is how Hearthstone works. So now I'm rooted for the plucky underdog on the other side to be victorious instead. What do you think?
Well, one thing I will say is that for the first step at least, it's worked. He has baited out the Killmox here with his very aggressive game plan, and even though quite clearly the aggressive game plan has now been completely stymied, it means that he's able to keep the dream alive. He's not just going to die on turn 10 once the combo becomes active. And so really for Solari here, Odemian, is just going to be trying to delay things into the late game now, because again, while Bunny Hopper does have that double battle cry passive in order to guarantee that the Cthulhu will be killing Odemian when it comes down, if Odemian can turbo cycle through his deck a little bit quicker, now that Killmox has been dealt with from Bunny Hopper, he has the big upper hand. A little interesting that he went about it in this regard with playing out his own Killmox, I guess, to try and value trade, because there was the Cascading Disaster, right, which could have been used after a double trade to clear off the Killmox on the other side, whereas now his one has been dealt with, only healing for 7 on his side, whilst also healing Bunny Hopper for a further 7. And I guess while it does force an answer on the other side, which maybe he has a read that is not there, I do think this was a very overly zealous use of the Killmox here, just throwing it down very liberally while not healing for all that much.
No double spells in Bunny Hopper's deck. He just has those double battle cries instead, so he is only getting one body off his body of Cthulhu. And honestly, if Solari was feeling like Bunny's hand was light on removal, it would have been a pretty good read. There's only really the Soulfire available that he can use to take care of the situation, which might end up pitching one of these premium cards that he does have available right now. It does feel like this is a very similar scenario to what we saw in the last game, with the additional ingredient that Bunny Hopper is not just threatening lethal every single turn, right? Like, this kind of feels like how these two decks pan out against each other. We've seen it happen multiple times now, where Odemian gets a resource advantage, but Bunny kind of has the scammier stuff going on overall. But since Odemian's managed to resist one of those scams already, it's starting to feel like he's in a pretty dominant position.
And this is just why it felt weird to me, because I guess you have to go a little bit deeper in the assessment, because Bunny Hopper's running out of cards. A Killmox on board at full health for Solari could have been game-winning, potentially, if it had that full unkillable life total. Obviously, there's more of Cthulhu. There's a Gnomish army, I guess, that you can go there with Poisonous. And that's probably really the kicker, is that any minion plus Gnomish army knife probably would have been able to take out the Killmox on the other side.
Right.
But again, it does just mean that we're entering this state where both players are kind of going tit for tat at the moment, neither player pulling drastically into the lead. And if this carries on, either Soleri gets a drastically earlier Cthulhu than Bunny Hopper does, or due to the double battle cry effect, Bunny Hopper just wins when his comes down.
Yes. Ooh. Locust.
Desotré!
A much better attempt than I would have made, so thank you for biting the bullet on that one.
I have no idea if that was even correct. I forget just how early you are into the French words that you're supposed to stop pronouncing any letters. I couldn't remember if it was 20% or 30% through the word. You just stop.
Circus Amalgam seems pretty reasonable here. Okay.
I'll take a Void Drinker. And, I mean, honestly, again, even though I do think that this aggressive push is not going to result in a victory for Soleri, maybe you bait out the Gnomish Army Knife. Maybe you bait out those little bit of extra resources, a big board clear, something like that. And then it just means that you can consistently not be in any fear of dying and pull towards that victory slowly but surely.
Sure about that? Have you ever processed just how much damage double locusts all going face is, Daruk? It's a lot of freaking damage, and the Killmox has been seen.
It is a lot. Maybe you're right. I mean, the main thing is just that Bunny Hopper is straight up running out of cards right now.
Yes. That is a big deal indeed, which I think, again, is part of why we're seeing Oddelenie continue to be so aggressive here, because the more aggressive your board state is, the more Bunny is going to have to use precious resources that he has in his hand. When he only has 4 cards, every one of his resources is very precious to him, right? So if you can force him to burn through those last couple of cards, he's going to find himself in trouble very quickly.
And quite rightly here, Soleri just keeps on with the pressure. He's smelling weakness here. And it's like you said, he gets the benefit of early aggression plus extra resources as well, playing so aggressively in those couple of turns that we missed at the start, where it forced Bunny Hopper to throw out the Killmox. And now this is the benefit he gets. He's just winning the old-fashioned way. Who cares about Cthulhu or any of that nonsense? He's just reset the playing field, and he's winning on damage.
Yep, our Bunny is going to have one final push here, one final big reset with the Void Drinker and the Gnomish Army Knife. He does get Divine Shield, Lifesteal, etc., all that good stuff to be able to heal up significantly here and be able to take down the board state. But again, Oddelenie is more than capable of pushing past this and just keeping on going with the big threats. And this is the problem when you start running out of resources with Warlock, as Bunny's doing, right? Is that Bunny, because he has School Spirits in hand, he knows he probably needs that to deal with the Locust. So that means he can't hero power. If he's not hero powering, he can't cycle. If he's not cycling, he's not winning the game. So it's just kind of this this vicious cycle, if you will, pun realized but not intended, that you just can't find yourself towards a win condition because you actually need the cards in your hand because you don't have that many of them.
I guess the real win condition now for Bunny Hopper is just the hope that he can high roll an early Cthulhu. Like if he draws the card, draws the spells one after the other, shuffles it in, then draws it off the top, maybe there's some possibility that he can get the job done then. As unlikely as it seems.
But like, how much has he healed for this game? Like, probably somewhere in the region of 40, and he's just still back at 26 again immediately.
Yeah.
Second Locust all just going face. Wow, multiple Sociologists as well, but currently no fragments in deck.
Yeah, that is a bit of a rough one.
Alright. There's a good deal of garbage in this hand, but there is also that one Cthulhu spell.
Yeah. I think it's worth just holding on to the potential disaster. Like, he's winning on all fronts as it currently stands. Yes. He really doesn't need to do anything too risky. He can just keep playing out, and he will get there.
Bunny has so many Soul Fragment cards in his deck.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Like, they're just not very good cards to pick off the buckets. They give you a bit of survivability, and obviously, with the constant tapping through, they can get you a tremendous amount of health. But when you compare it to the actual punch that Solari and Dimian's deck have, it just pales in comparison.
Yeah, Bunny Hopper just going to tap here. Realizes he needs something significantly better. That was Sociologist off the top. Okay. Wait, Bunny reaching for the School Spirits here?
Looks like it. I wonder if his Militia wasn't big enough then or something. I mean, it trades pretty horrendously, to be fair, onto this board.
It does.
I doubt it's going to trade much better next turn, though, to be honest.
Yeah, it's one of those weird scenarios as well where, like, obviously Bunny had a variety of outs he was playing towards there, and again, he'll know his deck list much better than I do, but in that one specific scenario, if he'd have discarded the other way around, he would have actually still had Soulshear Sociologist on that one turn that was playable together. But obviously there were other considerations that Bunny had, not in the least that just based on the state of the board, it felt like School Spirits was potentially a stronger card.
Faire le cœur et garde funeste, je pense. Je peux cisailler mes propres créas pour une Malicia sinon.
Yeah, it really feels like.
Gather round, everyone! The fun's about to start!
Takže ahojte, moje meno je Luan, Dinh. Pôjdeme si trošku zahrať ešte Hearthstone teraz.
Jaina versus Tyrande.
Moon give me strength.
You asked for it.
Podľa mojich skúsenostiach niekedy samozrejme, že ani financie vám nepomôžu, aby ste sa stáli samozrejme reprezentantmi. Ale ako hráč môžete hrať samozrejme ľubovoľne, ako chcete. Poďme si zahrať.
A simple spell should do.
What to do? What to do?
It says explode!
karty sú ako dosť brutálne, vám poviem. Boli sme aj...
We will feed on this world. Power in trinkets!
You've got me fired up. Now we're cooking. It's hot. Drink with me, friend.
I do love a good study session.
Guaranteed magic!
One's out on me.
I do love a good study session.
My hand is too full.
A charming composition. a smudge.
We will feed on this world.
To je 4 damage, ale môžeme si nájsť niečo, čo zvýši atak.
Oh, it says explode!
I gotcha!
Share your thoughts with the class now!
Just resting my eyes.
It is finished. You win.
Dobre, my sme už teraz na 8. mieste. Zaregistroval som sa na univerzitný turnaj, prosím, ale zistil som, že nie som už študent, ako vysokoškolák, takže asi, neviem, či ma prihlásia, dúfam, že aj bude sa hrať o $350. Ak chce, samozrejme,
I am
milovník
determined to
Hearthstoneu,
win this.
You asked for
chce
it.
zároveň aj vysokoškolák, rozhodne mali by si zahrať, áno. Location necháme na neskôr, lebo je... Okej. Kartu. Blood Mage. Alebo Solaria.
Crush your delusions of grandeur.
Postavil som tam Solariana, najskôr asi zaútočí na toho panačika.
Hey, I got you, friend. I feel it.
Zautočil s Heroesom. Toto sa mi fakt ako ľúbi. Ale najskôr asi dáme ten spell. Ja, dáme to.
A charming composition.
Ten Confusion sa mi veľmi ľúbi.
They will never catch me. That's an upgrade. Probably.
Ešte nevieme presne ako zaútočiť. Pekne.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Teraz som obhúkal vlastne ten Confusion. Takže najskôr dáme takto a ešte dá počiť vedľa. Ás! Takže môžete samozrejme tiež sledovať týchto ako videí na internete sú. Akurát je tam aj v češtine dokonca. Niektorí streamery aj slovenskí. Takže môžete sa tam tiež ako priučiť. A ja ako proste sa budem lepší, tak rozhodne tiež.
You have to read this one.
Prišlo na Flame Strike. Musíme tento board. No.
I have become one with the void.
Magic trick. Dobre, do nich. Exploding sparkle.
Step up!
To, že by mohol nám dať takú záverečnú dobu. Myslím, že je čas na to, aby... Evocation, je to také brutálne. Deck of Luna. To dá.
They will never catch me.
The fires of vengeance burn bright!
Ja si myslím, že si zvolí sem, ale tak už máme 10 útokov, takže myslím, že je koniec hry, takže dáme mu well play.
Well played.
I must withdraw.
Učiť rozhodne od supera. Fakt pozerať tieto videá na internete, áno, kde vám vysvetľujú práve obyčajní ľudia, ktorí vedia túto hru hrať. Ja ich beriem ako idol, jedna vec, druhá vec ako učiteľ. No, či už angličtiny alebo Hearthstone. Takže...
You asked for it. Oh, it is on.
Necháme. Firebrand. Spell. Burst. Deal 4 damage randomly. Wow. Vyťahalo na nás. Oh gosh. Na trojke. Na dvojke asi dáme ping. Ešte lepe. V podstate, keď dáme teraz jeden panáčik, tak v ďalšom ťahu nemôžeme zahrať to kombo. Dáme. Element Heroes Power 5 Blast 1 damage. Takú prvú hru, čo sa týka tých kartových, čo si ja pamätám, čo bolo už, bola hra Yu-Gi-Oh! Také podobné, na čo je to trošku japonská, ale fakt za to samozrejme, či už len
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
Job done.
Ah, are you a fan of knives?
Someday I'll be just like you.
I feel it.
A little problems. Yo, monster, kobold.
Buy one, get one free.
You fight me, you get burned.
To je nepríjemné, tak to je nepríjemné.
Buy one, get one free.
Oh, it says explode! It says explode!
La partner.
I will break your body.
Yes. To asi bude dosť...
Someday I'll be just like you.
Runs out on me.
Nebudem útočiť, pretože na ten flame ward, ja to vidím, a asi ice barrier najskôr, že tam tieto dve veci budú, takže počkáme ešte na jeden vykladanie od nich, až potom asi zautočíme.
Your power, limitless.
Planets and stars, power for the taking.
10 damage, wow.
Safety third! Safety third! Safety third! Safety third!
many.
Planets and stars! Power for the taking!
Ja mám rád ten Flamestrike. Kombo znamená, že ak dáte jednu kartu a následne tú kartu, kde je napísaný kombo,
One ticket, please.
objaví sa jedna karta.
I see your weakness.
Get one free!
Power of creation. Super má dve karty, jednu ako skrytú ešte, takže keď budeme opakovať, myslím si, že máme trošku výhodu. Ale super dal dvakrát ako keby ten Arcán Flow, Arcanters Flow. Eccentric.
I taste.
Použil všetky 4 karty. Bude ukázať. Dovidenia. Šesť karty, pravdepodobne 1 ku 7, že poťahol ten Katun. Že... Vidíme.
What once was cloudy shall become clear.
I'm out of cards.
Your power, limitless.
Hearthstoneu. Výborne. Máme nejaký image. Sme na 6. mieste, bože, tak my sme sa trapili asi mesiac a pol na tú zlatu. No poďme to teraz skúsiť vyššie, samozrejme. Na vyššiu úroveň sa dostať. Už je to pol 12, takže sa teším na zajtra.
versus Uther! I will fight with honor.
You asked for it.
Reporting for duty.
Teraz dáme ten Fireblast. Máme nejaké dve. Možno si 4. Všetko môžeme dať na to.
Reporting for duty.
Využijeme tú mánu a dáme Partner. Jeden útok a 3 životy. Za jednu mánu je to dosť ako poolová karta, takže spell damage plus 1.
Reporting for duty.
Za 7 many je dobrý, ale ten polymorf je...
I will break your body.
I will crush your delusions of grandeur.
Runs out on me.
Bolo zle. Nebudem k tomu sa nejako vyjadrovať.
I do love a good study session.
Your beast health charge. Neviem, asi nemá beast. Neviem. Či zautočím to.
Reporting for duty. By the holy light! Twisted to perfection. By the holy light!
Neviem, špatne to hraje.
I'm going to throw the book at you.
Save the best for last!
Reporting for duty. Well played.
Dík, snáším vše.
I cannot wait to read these.
I do love a good study session.
Reporting for duty. You fight me, you get